Tappy Toes 2008. When Happy Feet became a cultural phenomenon in 2006, its combination of heart, humor, and breathtaking visuals captivated audiences. But then came Tappy Toes, a film that mistook imitation for inspiration. With its awkward animation and lifeless storytelling, this ripoff waddled straight into mediocrity. Instead of a grand Antarctic world filled with personality and rhythm, Tappy Toes delivered a motionless wasteland populated by stiff, expressionless penguins. The main character, Pingo, attempts to rediscover dance in a world that discourages individuality, an obvious mirror to Mumble from Happy Feet. Yet where Happy Feet spoke to themes of self-acceptance and courage, Tappy Toes stumbled over flat dialogue and bizarre sound design. The film's pacing drags, the humor feels forced, and the music lacks the catchy soul of its inspiration. In the end, it's a hollow echo of a masterpiece that proved copying moves doesn't mean you can dance. Little B, 2007. When B-Movie flew into theaters, it was quirky, witty, and full of life. But Little B took that buzz and flattened it. Created by Brazil's infamous Video Brinquedo, known for low-budget mockbusters, Little B was marketed to unsuspecting parents as a cheaper alternative. Unfortunately, it offers none of the clever humor or emotional undertones that made B-Movie memorable. The main character, a rebellious bee, questions his hive's work system, the exact same plot as B-Movie. But the similarities stop being funny once you realize how poorly it's executed. The bees move stiffly, the environments are lifeless, and the sound design is downright painful. The dialogue feels robotic and awkwardly dubbed, making it difficult to even follow the story. While B-Movie charmed audiences with its originality and wit, Little B exposed the hollow side of imitation. Instead of soaring like its inspiration, it crashed into the hive of cinematic shame. The Autobots, 2015. If imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, then the Autobots took it too far and paid the price. This Chinese-made movie blatantly mirrors Pixar's Cars from its main character, a cocky red race car who learns humility, to the dusty racetracks and scenic backdrops. Even the promotional posters were nearly identical to Cars. Audiences immediately noticed, and so did Disney, who sued the studio for copyright infringement and won. The similarities weren't coincidences. They were deliberate copies down to the lighting, character poses, and story beats. The Autobots fails to replicate Pixar's heart and humor, offering instead emotionless characters, stilted dialogue, and rigid animation that looks like a video game cutscene. The film tries to teach children about friendship and teamwork, but lacks the charm and sincerity that made Cars memorable. In the end, The Autobots isn't just a ripoff, it's a case study in how plagiarism can drive your reputation straight into the junkyard. Izzie's Way Home, 2016. As Pixar prepared to release Finding Dory, the Asylum saw an opportunity and released Izzie's Way Home. The timing wasn't coincidence, it was marketing manipulation. The story is a near copy of Finding Dory, a lost fish on a journey home, surrounded by quirky underwater companions. But while Pixar created an emotional, visually stunning world, Izzie's Way Home feels like a rushed student project. The animation is choppy, characters have dead eyes, and the water textures look more like blue gel. Even the dialogue feels AI-generated, with awkward pauses and no real connection between characters. The studio's goal was clear: confuse parents into buying or streaming the wrong movie. While Finding Dory made audiences cry and laugh, Izzie's Way Home made them question if their TV was broken. It's a shallow copy that reminds us Pixar dives deep, while imitators just splash on the surface. Little and Big Monsters, 2015. Every once in a while, a film tries to recapture the magic of Monsters, Inc., and fails miserably. Little and Big Monsters is one such failure. Clearly inspired by Pixar's tale of friendship, fear, and laughter, it presents a world where monsters must team up to save their home. Unfortunately, its execution is as messy as its animation. The character designs are lazy, with generic shapes and dull colors. The humor feels forced and unfunny. The pacing drags, and emotional moments land with a thud. There's no chemistry between the leads, and the dialogue feels like it was translated 3 times before recording. Pixar gave us lovable monsters with personality and purpose, while Little and Big Monsters gives us creatures so bland they make the shadows look exciting. This isn't a tribute, it's a tragedy in disguise. Cargo 2017. When Pixar released Cars 3, audiences praised its emotional storytelling and themes of legacy. But then came Cargo, a painfully transparent imitation from The Asylum, a studio infamous for its mockbusters. The story, nearly identical. A young race car must step up after losing his father and prove himself on the track. The problem? Everything about Cargo feels hollow. The animation looks like it was made with outdated software. The voice acting lacks conviction, and the story feels like a soulless checklist of Cars 3's plot beats. The environments are flat, and even the sound effects seem reused. What makes it more insulting is how the film tries to market itself to unsuspecting families, mirroring Cars' promotional art almost exactly. But Pixar's films thrive because of heart, humor, and passion. All things Cargo forgot in the pit stop. It's less a movie and more a warning. You can't copy emotion, no matter how many times you hit render. The Reef, 2006. When Pixar's Finding Nemo conquered the ocean with its heart, humor, and groundbreaking animation, everyone wanted to swim in the same waters. Enter The Reef, an undersea adventure that thought copying the formula would bring equal success. But instead, it drowned in mediocrity. Originally titled Shark Bait, this movie follows Pi, a young fish whose parents are eaten by sharks, forcing him to move to a coral reef where he must learn courage, friendship, and love. Sound familiar? It's Nemo all over again, minus the soul, charm, and storytelling magic. The film shamelessly borrows Nemo's vibrant undersea world, from talking sea creatures to comedic sidekicks, but replaces Pixar's emotional depth with hollow dialogue and awkward humor. Even the voice cast, which includes Freddie Prinze Jr. and Rob Schneider, can't save it. The animation feels unfinished, the movements stiff, and the characters lack expression. Every attempt at emotion feels forced, every joke recycled. What made Finding Nemo timeless was its sincerity, a father's relentless love for his son. The Reef tries to replicate that heart with a romantic subplot between Pi and Cordelia, but it feels artificial and rushed. The sharks lack menace, the Reef feels empty, and the emotional beats sink under their own predictability. Despite its efforts, The Reef ended up being the shallow end of the animated ocean, proof that copying Pixar's magic doesn't guarantee a splash. Sometimes it just leaves you stranded at sea. Tiny Robots, 2008, a film that clanked its way into existence, trying desperately to capitalize on that fascination. It features a young inventor robot trying to save his metallic city, a carbon copy of Robot's story. However, the charm and visual creativity that made Robots special are nowhere to be found. The animation looks unfinished, with stiff movements and unpolished designs that seem ripped from a PlayStation 1 demo. The backgrounds are static, lighting inconsistent, and the story lacks depth or humor. Characters feel lifeless, delivering dull lines with no heart or energy. Tiny Robots proves that technology alone can't build emotion. It takes storytelling, design, and care, all of which this knockoff forgot to include. It's not an homage, it's a rusted reflection of better artistry.